Hello, welcome to Cure Disease Kuri Channel number 80. My name is Junko Shiozawa and she is my daughter Kuri. Kuri has a very serious disease called DRPLA. It causes the brain to atrophy. Inherited, no cure, progressing disease. This channel's goal is to find cure for many diseases, and I want to share challengers' life. It's a great goal. Today is the annual report for 2021 from the CureDRPLA, of which I am a board member. This report was originally given at the annual meeting of Ataxia UK. Before I show you the video, let me tell you about this disease. I've been creating Kuri channel for a year and a half now. Little by little, people from various countries have been watching this. What I have come to understand is that not many people know about DRPLA, even if they are medical professionals. There may be no one around you who is suffering from this disease. DRPLA is a very rare disease that affects only 1,000 to 2,000 people in the world. We are working on various projects with the goal of finding a cure for DRPLA. But I believe that the first step is to let as many people as possible know about it. As you can see in the video number 2, DRPLA has a different symptoms depending on the age of onset. Kuri had epileptic seizures first. My husband, Chiaki, didn't know it was a disease because he had the impression that his personality was changing. Kuri's grandmother, Chiaki's mother, complained of falling down easily after she turned 60. Because of these different symptoms and the fact that the disease is unknown, it will take many years to determine the name of the disease. Right now, we are looking for DRPLA patients all over the world. Our request to you is to share this video with as many people as possible. Please join us in finding patients and helping find a cure. Please do it. So, please watch it.
Hello everyone and welcome to our virtual annual conference. My name is Silvia Pradas and I will present an update on DRPLA research. Today I am presenting the collaborative work Ataxia UK and CureDRPLA are doing. Then I will give a brief description of DRPLA and the biology behind DRPLA. After this introduction, I will move on to the most exciting part of the talk where I will explain all the projects that we are working on. So let's start introducing our team. CureDRPLA was founded by Paul and Andrea Compton. The mission of CureDRPLA is to connect families, physicians, and scientific investigators to advance DRPLA research and work towards the treatment. CureDRPLA has engaged Ataxia UK to help further its efforts. Dr. Julie Greenfield and myself work for Ataxia UK. We advise CureDRPLA and I coordinate most of the projects that are part of this research program. And we also have two more members in our team. Dr. Jeff Carroll, he's a researcher in the field of Huntington's disease, and he's an advisor to CureDRPLA. Junko Shiozawa, she's an advisory board member, and she has been of great help to reach out to the Japanese community. Dentatorubral pallidoluysian atrophy, or DRPLA, is a very rare form of ataxia that affects between 1,000 and 2,000 people worldwide. DRPLA has a higher incidence in the Japanese population, where it affects 2 to 7 people per million. It's a condition inherited in a dominant autosomal manner and is caused by mutations in the atrophin-1 gene. This means that each subsequent generation has a 50% chance of inheriting the disease. DRPLA is caused by CAG repeats expansions in the DNA. If these are less than 36 CAG blocks, there will be no pathology. However, if there are more than 48 CAG blocks, they will cause DRPLA. The number of CAG repeats can also influence the age of onset for DRPLA. Adult onset DRPLA usually occurs after the 20 years of age, and it presents with ataxia, chorea, cognitive and behavioral changes. Whereas juvenile onset DRPLA typically presents with seizure, myoclonus, and cognitive decline. These CAG repeat expansions in the ATN1 gene cause protein accumulation in cells. If we look at the ATN1 gene that has less than 35 CAG blocks, this produces a normal protein. However, when there is this CAG expansion, the mutation will cause abnormal ATN1 protein that will accumulate in the cells and ultimately result in DRPLA. So when we started this program in 2020, we focus on 3 main areas of interest. The patient voice includes all projects designed to collect information directly from individuals with DRPLA and their families. And it also includes all the outreach that we are doing on social media and other platforms. In clinical projects, we are coordinating a natural history study that I will explain in detail in a few minutes. And the third area of interest are the preclinical projects. And these are key studies that need to take place before developing a treatment. So now I'm just going to focus in each of these areas in greater detail. I'm very excited to talk about the CureDRPLA Global Patient Registry because we have put a lot of effort on this one. In our initial conversations with pharmaceutical companies and different experts in the field, they all advise us to have a DRPLA patient registry. And a patient registry is just a database or a collection of information about people affected by a particular condition. And this is very common for patient organizations to set up in the rare disease field. So the CureDRPLA Global Patient Registry will collect information about demographics, the diagnostic journey. It will also collect information about the medical history, so which symptoms appeared first, and also about medications or supplements that these people might take. It will also collect information about the functional mobility, the activities of daily living, and the impact DRPLA might have had on the economic aspect of the families. So participation is available to all DRPLA patients and families. Right now, this registry is available in English, but in a couple of days, it's also going to be available in French, Italian, Japanese, Korean, and Portuguese. We are asking all participants to complete this registry once a year. It only takes 20 to 30 minutes to complete it, and you don't have to do it all in one go. You can save and return later. We understand that completing this registry can be time-consuming, and not everyone will have plenty of time to complete it. For this reason, only a reduced number of questions will be required to answer, but of course we encourage everyone to complete as many as possible. So to summarize everything I have said about this registry, here are 5 reasons to join. The CureDRPLA Global Patient Registry is the only existing registry of DRPLA individuals. It will improve our understanding of the natural course of the RPLA and the impact it has on activities of daily living. It will also help identify people to inform them about taking part in clinical trials and research studies. And the data collected will facilitate research on treatments for the RPLA. And lastly, this registry will help Ataxia UK and CureDRPLA advocate for a cure. So to participate in this registry, you just need to visit the CureDRPLA website, and here you can also find a user guide to help you navigate through the registry. And I'm always happy to help you with any questions or problems that you might have. So to continue this work about the patient's voice, we collaborated with Casimir, and we asked this company to conduct interviews with 7 caregivers and 3 adults with the RPLA. And together, all these people reported the experience of 19 affected individuals. So in these interviews, caregivers and patients discuss the onset and the diagnosis, the progression of symptoms and the trajectory of decline, and the impact of the RPLA in daily life. They also went into discussions about the views on predictive testing, clinical trials, and the desired treatment outcomes. All the findings from this interview have been summarized and written in a research article that we will publish in early 2022. So now let's talk about this clinical project that I mentioned earlier in my introduction. So again, when we spoke with researchers and pharmaceutical companies, this is another project that we were advised to set up. A natural history study follows a group of people with a specific condition over time. These studies aim to collect health information to understand disease progression and to have an insight into how it might be treated. This study will help researchers better understand the RPLA, and this type of studies always come before a clinical trial. The DRPLA Natural History and Biomarkers study will have a duration of 3 years, and study participants will be visited once a year. It is a multi-center observational study without experimental treatment. In the UK, the study site will be in London, and in the United States, the study sites will be in New York, North Carolina, and Los Angeles. And we will also have study sites in Japan. Participants that cannot travel to a study site, most likely they will also have the possibility to participate in the study. And we are expecting sites to start recruitment from very late this year or early on in 2022. But do not worry about these details, because as soon as recruitment starts, we will advertise it on all our platforms. So you will not miss this important bit of information. So Ataxia UK and CureDRPLA have worked with the clinicians that will participate in this study to develop 2 protocols, one for pediatric participants and another one for adult participants. And we hope that by having 2 protocols, we will help clinicians capture the difference between juvenile and adult onset DRPLA. Clinicians are going to collect the following information. They will use questionnaires to collect demographic and clinical history information. If applicable, they will also they will use questionnaires to evaluate the epilepsy type and the frequency of seizures. They will do physical examination and functional tests like the ataxia rating scale, and they will evaluate the speech and swallowing. They will also administer scales to assess cognitive function, and there will be the option to participate in a brain scan and in biofluid collection. It's important to mention that participants do not have to do everything on the protocol, although that's encouraged. Okay, so now let's talk about our preclinical projects, which are a group of research projects that always take place before clinical trials can begin. And these projects aim to advance the RPLA knowledge. For example, by finding and testing potential therapies in cell models and animal models. We have a number of projects with researchers in the United States and Europe. So, as I mentioned, it's important to develop tools that will allow researchers to test different treatments. Induced pluripotent stem cells, or iPSCs, are skin cells that can be reprogrammed back into an embryonic-like state, which means that these cells are now capable of developing into any different cell types, like brain cells. So, we have a project in which researchers collected skin cells from 16 DRPLA patients, and they have reprogrammed these cells into iPSCs and then into neurons. So this is a great tool for researchers because it's difficult to study the brain, and by using these tools, they can mimic the conditions in which DRPLA is affecting the brain cells. Another tool to help understand the DRPLA mechanisms are the mouse model. Mice are biologically similar to humans, and they have been used in research for many years to develop treatments. So the DRPLA mouse model will mimic DRPLA. By using genetic engineering, researchers will insert the human ATN1 gene in this mouse model, and therefore it will allow them to investigate human DRPLA in a mouse model. Dr. Jeff Carroll is leading this project, and he's working with a company to produce this model. Now, I'm going to talk about potential therapies that are being developed as part of our preclinical work. Antisense oligonucleotides, or ASOs, can block the ability of a certain gene to make a protein. You will remember, when I talk about the CAG expansions in the atrophin-1 gene, I said that these produce an abnormal protein that accumulates in cells and is ultimately responsible for the DRPLA. ASOs would target the AT1 gene, they would block this protein production, and therefore they could reverse or at least stop progression of the DRPLA. So as an example, there is precedent that these ASOs can be approved for treatment of some conditions. For example, ASOs in the past have been approved to treat spinal muscular atrophy and Duchenne muscular dystrophy. We have a group of researchers that are collaborating with a pharmaceutical company to test different ASOs on cell models, like the iPSCs that I just described a couple of slides ago. We collaborated with a group of researchers at UMass to develop small interfering RNA, or siRNA. The principle of this compound is similar to ASOs. They interfere with the expression of specific genes and prevent protein formation. We hope that this siRNA will prevent ATN1 protein aggregation in the DRPLA. Dr. Jeff Carroll and his lab are currently testing the safety and efficacy of this compound in mice. So in this talk, I have presented a number of projects, and I hope you realize how important it is that we engage with the DRPLA community. DRPLA is such a rare condition that we need to gather as much information as possible, and it's true that every patient counts. We have reached to a number of patient organizations worldwide, like Eurotaxia and the Japanese Association of Ataxia Patients, to help us transmit our projects to the Japanese community and globally as well. And as I said at the beginning, Junko has been of great help here. We are also talking with pharmaceutical companies constantly to further the DRPLA research into a treatment. Unfortunately, all this information is confidential and I cannot share it, but I can assure you that we are working on that front as well. And before I finish, I would like to take a couple of minutes to say that we need the DRPLA community. And here are some examples of what you can do to help us. The first one, and the most important one, please consider joining the CureDRPLA Global Patient Registry. You can also follow the updates on the DRPLA Facebook groups and Rare Connect. Here, I usually post any information that I have about research projects that can be shared, any news, any upcoming events, so it's worth keeping an eye on those posts. You can also contact me if you have any questions or suggestions. I would love to hear from all of you. And then also keep in mind that we are always looking for ideas to post on Facebook or create short videos to raise awareness of the RPLA and our mission. So if this is something that you would like to do not hesitate to get in touch with me. So this is it. I hope you enjoyed this talk and you are as excited as we are about this program. You can find my email address here. And as I said, contact me anytime. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Sylvia. Some of our projects are behind the schedule, but we are moving forward. To the patient and the families, let's not give up. I will let you know when the patient registration will be available in languages other than English. And everyone, please help us. Please share this video. So never give up. Tomorrow will be a good day. Thank you very much for watching.